Okay, so what we got here is it's no secret now that I started pouring, shooting my own plastic crappie jigs. Got several molds. Started making baits probably 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago, something like that. And what we're going to be shooting today is we're going to be shooting the 2.5-inch crappie fluke out of a Do It mold. When I got this Do It mold, this is a sand cast mold, which kind of leaves a little bit of a rough texture just from the way the mold was cast. I wasn't real happy about the way those came out, so I started doing some research on the Do It molds. I put a heat-resistant coating inside each of the cavities, so instead of coming out with kind of a dull bait or a bait that's got a lot of texture to it, we started coming out with a good shiny bait instead of the normal what came out of the Do It mold. There's nothing wrong with the Do It molds. I just wasn't happy with the appearance. So, like I said, I did a little modification to it to make them where they came out shiny. Also on this mode, I came up with a way to modify it to where I could do a coreshot. And what a coreshot is I shoot an entire monkey milk fluke while it's got a metal rod running through both cavities on each side of the mold. Once I get done, I pull that rod out of that fluke, cut the ends of it off, and then I'm left with a hollow body. With that hollow body, I put them back in the mold, and then I shoot chartreuse back into the mold, and then it'll shoot it all the way through both sides of the jig, which comes up with a chartreuse tail, a little bit of a chartreuse head. And if I don't know how good the camera picks it up, but if you turn it, you can actually see the chartreuse running straight through the middle of the jig itself. We'll break it open. And you can see that chartreuse core running through it, which comes out through the tail and makes the tail itself. So let's shoot some of these. I'm going to walk through my process on how I do it. Like I said, I'm using the Do It mold, 2.5-inch crappie fluke. We're going to be using dead-on plastics. I already got 2 cups here ready to go into the microwave. We'll go through that process too. For 2 cups, I'm going to be somewhere around 4 minutes to get it heated up to where it's nice and clear. We're going to start out with the monkey milk color. We're going to shoot, I think this order is for like 125 of the flukes. So we're going to shoot 125 monkey milks, and then we're going to go back and shoot another 125 core shots to them to come out with the chartreuse tail. I couldn't leave it alone. I couldn't just do a normal fluke. I wasn't happy doing the same thing everybody else does. So I modified everything the same as I do with my hand-tied jigs. I go a different route. I look for something that I don't see a lot of other people doing. And yeah, the process is harder. But I think you come up with a bait that's a lot more appealing, that's different to what everybody else does. And I sell all my plastics the same as I do my hand-tied jigs on Facebook Messenger. Some will be in bait shops, some might not. It just kind of depends on how all this evolves. So come along. Let me show you how we get going. Let me show you how we do this. Like I said, we're going to start out with 2 cups of dead-on plastic, and we're going to get the molds warmed up. We're going to heat our plastic up. So stick around. I'll be right back, and we'll start rolling through that. All right, so this is early in the morning. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. These molds are still kind of cool. Actually, we can check them, and I can show you exactly what the temperature is on them. Those molds are 65 degrees, which is probably almost room temperature down here right now. We're going to warm them up just a little bit. And when I say warm them up, I don't mean I'm going to get them so hot you can't touch them. I'm just going to blow a little heat down through the cavities on both of these 2 molds just to give me a warmer mold to start off with. So we're going to use just our heat gun. And we're just going to blow down inside the cavities and just try to get it warmed back up a little bit. The first shot we do, I'm probably going to leave that plastic in here for a little while, and that'll also help heat my molds up some. I don't like shooting with a cold mold. And a cold mold can also be, whatever your room temperature is. You're going to be pumping this plastic at about 350 degrees, somewhere around that. And we're going to get these, you know, somewhere up around 80, 90 degrees, maybe somewhere around 100. So I'm not going to keep this on while I get these totally heated up, but I just want to show you how I heat my molds up and get them ready to be shot. So probably 2 or 3 minutes max with the heat gun. That'll help the plastic, your first shot, come out good. You know, you don't want to waste a whole lot of shots getting your molds warmed up. So we're going to help it just a little bit and just get them warm enough to where all your plastic is flowing through all the cavities nice and smooth, not, you know, having to heat a spot up every time the plastic runs through. It will make a bait come out a lot better, you know, on your first shot if you heat these up just a little bit to begin with. Okay, so we got our plastisol heated up to 358. It's cooled down just a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix in our color. And like I said, we are going to be doing a monkey milk body with a chartreuse coreshot. So from Do It, I used Hyperlight Blue Pearl. I like the powder sometimes, and other times I like the liquid pigment from Dead On. But wanting to make sure that these come out like the other ones, and this is what I'd use was the powder. We're going to do the exact same thing, and we're going to use two tablespoons. Actually, it'd probably be like 1 3/4 by the time. Actually, we're going to start out with just 1. And we're just going to go a little bit more. I know it's going to need just a little bit more than that. So we're going to, these baits I want to be kind of translucent and kind of not. And we're going to stir this powder in. And if you use this powder, my best suggestion is just stir to get all those clumps out. Kind of go around the sides a little bit. It's not the easiest thing to work in. So you end up with this, I don't know if you can see that blue sheen on the top of it, which is going to be what gives it that monkey milk effect, that monkey milk look. While we're doing this, I also see a lot of air bubbles being created at the same time. But we are going to put this back in the microwave. We're going to warm it back up after we get done doing all this. I got to get it back up to temperature, and then we're going to go ahead and shoot our boat. We're going to shoot the first shot, which is, you know, going to be our solid monkey milk, so we can get those cut out. But we're going to stir that in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple drops on the table, and we're just going to kind of make sure that is the color I want before I get too devoted to it. And we're also going to be putting in a little bit of black, some black glitter in it. But now it looks like I got all the powder mixed in, and it don't look like it's going to come out clear. It's got a thick milk kind of color to it. But if you get a little bit and put it on a smooth surface, it's actually pretty clear. It's not, it's what I want. I don't want perfectly clear, but I don't want super thick and dark. All right, so you can see this came from Hobby Lobby. Just some black glitter, and we're just going to sprinkle some in. I'm not going to measure it out. I know about what I want. When I made these baits yesterday, I know that if I covered about half the top of the cup, that was enough. I don't want to put in a whole lot of, be careful if you put in a whole lot of black flake, because it will kind of change the color of your base. It'll make it a little bit darker. And actually what this black did with that monkey milk is almost kind of gave it a little bit of a purple effect. I mean, you can kind of see it in that cup. But once they shoot out and it thins out and it cools down a little bit, it'll have a really good monkey milk look to it. You can see it on the knife. You can see through it pretty good. That's exactly what I was looking for. All right, it's starting to thicken back up, so let's put it back in the microwave for probably another 45 seconds, get it back up to temp. We'll load it up, and we will shoot this, and we'll see how the bodies come out on the first shot. All right, so we just pulled it back out of the microwave, had it in for another 45 seconds. We've got the temp up to 352. So we're definitely warm enough to shoot. We're going to get our injector. My single injectors came off Amazon, fish form. I've had no issues with these whatsoever. I kind of like them. These are 6-ounce injectors. We're going to fill it up, not even halfway. And we're going to shoot into the first mode. We're going to push it down until it stops, and then we're just going to hold it there for a few seconds. We're going to fill that sprue up a little bit, and then we're going to go right to the next one. Push it down until it stops, and then just hold it there. You're just going to keep that little bit of pressure on it, and I usually kind of twist it a little bit, wipe it off some, and then fill the sprue back up. Because as that plastic cools, it'll shrink, it'll pull down in there. And if you let it get too far down in there, what it'll do is it'll affect the top baits. The last baits that are cavities filled will actually suck that plastisol, that plastic, back into those cavities. And you'll also end up pulling an air bubble inside of them too. So you got to be careful when you do this. Make sure you get that full. Some modes where the sprues are like really long or really thick, you don't have to worry a whole lot about. But this one right here, where my first set of baits are like almost right here at the top, it will affect those baits if I'm not careful enough and keep those full as I go. So we're gonna let that cool down for a few seconds. We're gonna put our plastic back in the microwave. We're gonna go ahead and get that going again, so that's ready when I get ready to shoot again. Let this cool down for a second, and then we'll come back, we'll take them out, and we'll see how they came out. Okay, it's been a few seconds. We're gonna go ahead and pop these out of the mode. We're gonna take our clamps off. And we're gonna open that mode up. As of right now, just looking at them, they look good. They're smooth. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about with the coreshot rod. You can see that rod right there coming through it. I'm just gonna pull that rod completely out. Pull that rod completely all the way out. I think my cat's wanting to get outside. Sleeps in the garage all night, and then as soon as I get up, she wants outside. I wasn't quick enough to let her outside, so y'all are gonna have to hear her for a few more seconds. Let's pull that rod out. So we have got 8 baits here that have got hollow bodies where the rods had ran through. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna find where the hollow spot is on my tails, which is right here above that. I can see where the rod went through. So we're gonna cut all these tails off right there at that last joint. And we're going to save those tails. And if I get down to needing plastic, I'll just start remelting that stuff back in. All right, so what we got left is a grub body that will be the body for the fluke. And you can see the hole going all the way through. So we're going to set all these off to the side. And then we're going to get our chartreuse ready. And we are going to pump a chartreuse core inside every one of these, and then the bait will be completely done. But what we'll end up doing is taking these hollow bodies, putting them back in the mold, lining them all back up, and then shooting again with chartreuse. And that chartreuse is going to come through here, and then it's going to pump right through that hollow spot on that body, and then straight out into that tail. We're going to be using chartreuse on the tail on this one because that's what the order was for. But, you know, we could do any color. That's the way it's going to look when it's done. You You know, we can do a perfectly clear, glittery body with a monkey milk tail, or I mean, the possibilities are endless with shooting plastic. That's the one thing I like about this. The more I do the plastic, the more I see how I can modify it and different things I can do with it. It's a lot more tedious. There's a lot more work involved in it, but the baits are unique, handmade. Even though you're kind of doing it more of a production setting, it's a handmade bait. Each one I handle, and I just like my stuff to look a little different. And this is another tip, the same as I did with the hand-tied jigs, on how to modify something and make it functionable, make it look good, make it sellable, make it presentable, make it something that you want to fish with or your buddies want to fish with. Just gives you a little more of an edge. There's a confidence in going out with something you made and catching fish with. So let's get our chartreuse mixed up. Let's come back. Let's fire these up with chartreuse. Let's get this order knocked out. Let's move right on to the next one. So one thing I need to show that I didn't was these are my coreshot rods. This is what keeps the monkey milk part of it hollow. I just kind of modified some rods and put in there to sit in one spot. I've only really actually made enough for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 baits at a time, but I lay that rod right across the middle of those cavities. Just get them in there nice for about as straight as you can get them, and then just shut the molds up and shoot the plastic in them. But yeah, that's what's creating the core shot. That's what's creating the hollow body. When I opened it up, you know, pulled all the rods out, this is the step to put the rods in. Okay, so we got all of our little bodies shot, 185 of them, I think. So what we're gonna do is that's what we come out with on our first shot, with a hollow spot in the middle of it. We're gonna cut these tails off right there below, on that very last rib, right before you get to the tail. And I just take a pair of scissors, snip it off, make sure I got a good open hole to shoot through. We're gonna put them right in the mold. Clip this one off. Set them all back in there. So that way we've got our mold completely loaded up and we're ready to do our chartreuse shot. When I do the core shot, I actually like to have my plastisol just a little bit hotter. I like to always shoot at right around 350 just to make sure that it goes through all the way. So when that chartreuse comes down through here, it's going to shoot down through there and it's going to fill that body up. I got my plastisol in the microwave getting ready to get heated up. Actually, we're going to give it another minute. We're going to put our fluorescent or put our chartreuse color in. We're going to be using dead on plastic chartreuse. This is the brightest chartreuse I've ran across. This is so very, very bright. It stands out really good, but we're going to make this to where it's thick. I kind of want a little bit of that chartreuse to show up through that monkey milk. So we're going to add chartreuse as our base, and then we're going to put some white in also just to make sure it's not translucent and it's really bright when it goes through that monkey milk body. All right, so we got our plastisol completely ready. We got a good 354 degrees. Got a good clear plastisol. Dead on plastics, man. I can't make an extremely good product. We're gonna be using chartreuse. I know you see a lot of people, they'll do like 50 drops, you know, they count it down. I don't. We're just going to make it pretty heavy, and we're just going to keep adding to it until I got it to where it's not translucent anymore. So like I said, we're going to go kind of heavy with that. Get it all stirred in good. Pay attention to the bottom of your cup and watch it. You'll know when you got it all stirred in good, because you can see the clear plastisol floating around on the top. You want to make sure you get all that mixed in real good, or you will have a really weird looking bait when you're done. But these are going to be the tails for the 2.5 inch Do It Molds Crappie Fluke. All right, we're gonna test it, see how good we got it. It's pretty translucent, so we're gonna add a little bit more chartreuse, and then to help it, help the color where it's a little bit more solid, I'm gonna add a little bit of white to it. Now, I'm not gonna add a lot of white, it don't take much. I think I might have went 10 or 12 drops right there. And that should give you a good, solid chartreuse color that's not translucent. Or it does for me. That's what has been working for me, is to do it like that. And we're going to check our temperature, see where we're at. Got down to 320. So we're going to throw it back in the microwave for about another 30 seconds. That should get it back up to temp. We're going to shoot this mode and see how this turns out. I love how these flukes turn out. I like that body. I like how you can see just a little bit of that chartreuse running through it. I love how these come out. It's pretty unique. I haven't seen a lot of other people do it. I got to playing with the coreshot mode that I got from Epic Bait Modes, and decided to start trying to do it with all the rest of them. So I made my own rods, made sure they fit, measured them, cut them, put them in here. Seems like it works. It's not always 100% perfect running straight through the middle. Sometimes that coreshot will be a little more on the side. Sometimes it'll be right in the middle. You know, it just kind of varies sometimes. They're not 100%. They'll all look the same. That coreshot might be a little bit different, but again, that's where that handmade effect's coming from. All right, let's check our plastisol again. It should be more than ready right now. Let's see, we have got 354. We're going to shoot it at that. That's plenty hot enough. But like I said, when you shoot this, you want to make sure that you're hot enough to make it all the way through. We're going to get our injector ready. Let's see what we're going to pull that plastisol up in there. We're going to come over to the mold. I keep my cup as close to my mold as I can, just to keep from losing plastisol all over the table, back and forth and all that. We're going to hold just a little bit of pressure on it. Wipe the end off a little bit. Fill it up a little bit more, and then we're going to go to the next mode. Just keep a little bit of pressure on it. Fill the cavities back up, because they are going to sink down after your plastic's cooling. That should get us. All right, let's see how that turns out. All right, so let's open this mode up and see what we got. Let's get our clamps off. Separate the molds. And the moment of truth, they come out right. And they did. That's what we came out with. I think they look pretty good. Somebody else might be watching and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing it that way. It's the hardest way possible. It's been a learning experience for us. Me and my son and my daughter, all three are doing this. But that's just, something I learned how to do with the Do It mold. I think they come out really good. They look nice. After I modified that mold, I got a good shiny, smooth texture on all my baits. The coreshot, I think it looks awesome. Let me know what you think. Send me a comment if I'm doing something wrong. You think I need to be doing something different. Send me a message. Let me know what you think. We can start doing more plastic baits on YouTube. I can just go back to doing hand ties, and I'll probably alternate between the two. I've been down for a little while. Had a little bit of a surgery on my back. Just getting back up and going again. I've kind of neglected YouTube through this process, but there it is. I'm going to bring y'all along with me as I'm learning the plastic side of this. But there's our final bait. I'm happy with it. Let me know what you think. You think it'll catch fish? You think it'll catch crappie? Yeah, just let me know what you think. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Let you know when I post the next video. Until the next one, we'll see you guys.